Hi, I'm Ayush. I'm the co-founder and CEO of AuraML, and we are building a generative simulation platform for industrial automation. My journey started with robotics. So I had always been very fascinated with robots, and during my college, I participated in a lot of robotics programs. I interned at a very good robotics lab in India. I did my master's in US in robotics as well, and I have been working in the industry for the past 10 years. And while working in the industry, I noticed a lot of problems when it came to simulation, because simulations were very limited. We had to do a lot of real world testing. So for every robot that we had to build and every robot that we had to deploy to a customer's site, we would have to spend months and months doing in-site testing, which costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time. So to solve all these challenges with automation, we decided to build AuraML, which is a generative simulation platform that can solve all of these problems for our customers. The biggest challenge that we are solving right now is how can we recreate accurately the real world environments in digital. So we want to have the customer's facility replicated with exact physics and exact interactions that how you would had in the real world. So if your robot goes into the simulation, it should behave exactly the same as it does in the real world. So that's the biggest challenge. So the existing simulations that existed before, their fidelity was not that high. And the other challenge was to recreate any real world facility digitally. You have to do it the same way you do in the real world, brick by brick. So you have to hire a team of 3D artists who sit down for 2-3 months and they place down every floor tile, every wall panel, every single screw, and everything needs to be manually placed in the digital world and recreated. And if you want to make any changes or variations, it still needs to be done manually. And it also requires a large computational resources. So you need to have very big servers, and then you need to have a team of people to maintain those servers. So to create an accurate simulation, you need to have like a large team, and you need to invest a lot of resources. So this creates a big challenge for the companies. And with our platform, all of this is taken care of because it's completely cloud-based. So all you need is a web browser with a good internet connection, and from anywhere in the world you can run your simulations and get accurate results very quickly. I was working in Tokyo at that time for a company called Raputa Robotics, and we were working on a project for building autonomous forklifts for warehouse applications. The project, I used to spend so much time at the customer's warehouse, traveling all the time, and we had to transport our robots to the customer's site, and they would not allow us to do the testing during the day because their warehouse was in operation during the day. So we would only be allowed to do the testing in night. And if we had to do any sort of test, so for example, if we wanted to pick up a pallet, we would have to ask a human operator to come take the pallet, place it where we want it to be. So we could do at the most 3 or 4 tests in one day. So what we would do is we would do testing for 1 week, come back, and what happened was, once we did it for one warehouse, and then when we had to sell it to a different customer, this process had to be repeated every time. And even after we did all of this and the robot was deployed with the customer, initially for the first 6 months, we had to have people monitoring those robots constantly, so that if there's any edge case or if there's any new scenario that the robot has not seen, there's no accident out there. So we personally had to spend so much time, which we would rather have spent in making our robots better, staying at the customer site and doing all of this. At that moment, I thought that if we truly want to have intelligent factories which are fully automated, this problem needs to be solved, and we need to have better simulation. And I thought this is something I really need to do if we all want to have intelligent robots everywhere around us. So the unique aspect of our product is the multimodal world model that we are training. So we are training our own foundational generative AI model, which can take input in floor plan, text, video, and from that automatically create a physics ready and sim ready 3D environment. So the biggest mode that we have is the data set as well. So to train any Gen AI model, you need a large data set, and we spent almost 1 year painstakingly creating the largest text to 3D scene generation dataset for warehouses, and that is our mode. So if anybody wants to replicate, they'll first need to recreate the dataset. And the second thing is the technical team itself that we have assembled. To create a foundational model from scratch, you need a lot of specific skill sets, and it also takes a lot of GPU compute resources to be able to train a foundational model from scratch. So the biggest technical challenge for us now and in the next few years is how to get accurate physics at cheap computational cost. So the challenge is you can get very accurate physics, but at the same time it requires a lot of GPU compute to be able to do that. And the second challenge that we anticipate is doing different environments. So let's say we start with a warehouse, we start with a factory, but if we want to generate an office, we have to retrain our model with extra data. So collecting all this different data from every possible scenario is the challenge, and we are like doing it bit by bit. So every customer that we work with, it gives us more data to feed into a model, and our model grows as we grow with our customers. So one of the recent experiences we had was for a warehouse use case. So they were trying to build an automated warehouse. So this customer, they already had a warehouse that was there, and they had some automation. So they had and they were bringing on a new robotics company to automate their factory. So they already had robot arms that were doing the parcel sorting, but they were bringing in a AMR robot that would also integrate with the rest of the systems. So the challenge here for them became that how do you ensure that the manufacturer 1's robots work well with manufacturer 2, and how do you design your warehouse to be better. So what they did was they took our model, they gave it their constraints and the area and what specifics they have, that okay, this robot needs to have at least this much spacing around it, and whatever their specifics were, and they were able to generate and optimize their facilities. And earlier it would take them almost 6 months to a year to be able to take the robots and put them in the factory, but with our systems they were able to do it in 1 or 2 months basically, and with a greater accuracy. So I have two other co-founders with me, Arjun and Sarvagya. So Arjun I met at one of the entrepreneur in residence programs that I was attending. We both were there together, and we gelled really well. So Arjun brings a large experience of building scalable cloud platforms. Before this, he had been working for a cloud-based company building a scalable cloud application that were serving 3 million daily active users. So he brought that experience of how you can take a local application and put it in the cloud. And Sarvagya and me go even further back. So we both were the early joinees of a company called Ajnalens. So I was the 5th employee, he was the 6th employee. We both joined that team together, and we have known each other since then, and we became good friends eventually. And later I convinced Sarvagya to join us. So Sarvagya, he started as an engineer, but later at Ajnalens he moved into the sales role, and he became the director of revenue. He was the one responsible from taking literally from 0 revenue to $10 million ARR. So he brings that expertise with him. All three of us handle 3 different aspects. I bring the robotics expertise and GenAI expertise. Arjun brings the cloud expertise, and Sarvagya brings his revenue and sales experience selling technical products. For the next 3 to 5 years, our vision is that we want to have our own multimodal foundational world model that can generate any scenario and simulate any sort of robots. And we want to enable the physical AI revolution, and we want to see that our technology makes the robot smarter, and so that we can have a robot in every house and every factory very soon. Without us, the companies need to have months and months, or sometimes even years of testing before the customer accepts the robots at their facility. And with our system, they can do 1 year worth of testing in 10 days. So basically you can have 1,000 parallel instances running, and you can run the tests simultaneously, which is impossible to do in the real world, because in the real world you can only do one after the other. But here you can sequentially do it. So for our customers, we have cut their deployment times up to 80%. And also the second aspect is the safety risks. So because there are a lot of edge cases that occur in the real world, which are very rare, right? So there are some things that might happen in an accident scenario, and in the real world, creating accidents is impossible because it will damage the equipment or something like that. But in our simulation, you can test every sort of edge case, every sort of scenario, so that you know that your robot is perfectly robust and your automation systems in your factory are completely independent, and even if a breakdown occurs, you know what exactly is going to happen. One of the key metrics for us, we call it the sim to real gap. So how close is your simulation to reality? And particularly when you're training, like for example, a reinforcement learning robot, a humanoid robot to walk, if it learns to walk in simulation, and for it to be able to transfer cleanly to the real world, the environment needs to be exactly the same. So we have our own metrics internally, and we use like very good physics engines that we have, which are very close to the real world. And the second aspect is the sensor simulation. So the robots usually have cameras on them, or they have lidars, and they use that to perceive the world around them. So we have our own diffusion based sensor simulation models that have a very low sim to real gap, which can recreate the look of the camera very accurately, so that when you train using our synthetic data, it's very close to the real world. So I would say 90% of the training can be done using synthetic. So it reduces the reliance on real data by up to 90%, and only 10% real data is then enough to fine tune and get the results that you want. In any industrial application, safety is paramount. So because robots don't operate in isolation, usually there are other humans around them, and there are safety cannot be compromised, because the robots, way they function right now, they have certain edge cases that occur very rarely in the real world. Unless the robot has encountered that or you have seen it, it is very difficult to anticipate what would happen. We help mitigate that by allowing you to create any sort of scenario. So let's say if there's a fire or smoke going on in your industry, or if an object suddenly, like a fire extinguisher on the wall, suddenly falls in front of the robot, how will the robot react? And so using our platform, you can recreate all of these scenarios and train your robot to be more robust, so that when you put it in the real world, there's no ambiguities and safety is a guarantee. The most valuable benefit for us has been the connects to the senior leadership. Since the last 3 days, we've been having meetings with all these amazing people whom we have had a chance to learn a lot from as well, and explain our use cases to them and generate actual business interest. These are the final decision makers, so being able to directly go in front of them and present our case makes the journey from pitching to getting the business very fast. So that has been the biggest value add for us.